Good morning, everyone. How are you this morning? And I don't know if you can see me or not. I can't see me on the screen, but I did want to tell you that Rodney is behind the scenes today. He's a little bit under the weather and his voice is a little raspy. So this morning it's mainly me and our special guest, Mia Pyle. And Rodney is working behind the scenes to produce, and hopefully we're going to be seeing, yeah, there we are.
All right, there we
There we
are.
both are. We are always so glad to have you, Mia, because I tell you what, you cover some very needful topics
Oh,
for
thank you.
us and help us navigate a lot of things. So we're so happy to have you here, and you look great.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. I'm so glad to be here. I love being on This Way Network with you and Rodney. And even though I know we can't see his face right now, I just feel so good knowing that the three of us are together making this show
Mhm.
happen. And I'm just thankful to be back.
Well, we're glad you're here too, and so glad that all of you are joining us. I hope we'll be seeing some of the comments here in a minute to see who has joined us live, because this is such a great topic. The holidays are coming up,
Yes.
Mia,
Yes.
and this is such an emotional time for
It is.
people in both directions. They're either very, very happy about the holidays, or they might feel ambivalent, and some people dread the
That's true.
holidays.
That's
So, what
true.
we want to talk about today is thriving through the holidays, no matter which camp you're in.
That's
And I
right.
know there's a lot. Yeah, go ahead.
Oh no, I didn't mean to interrupt you. I was just saying you're so right, Nina. I don't know if I'm putting you on the spot. We do that on the show sometimes, but I love
Hmm.
transparency. So I was, as you were talking about what we're talking about today, I was trying to think what camp I feel like I'm in today, like which one of those
Hmm.
camps am I personally falling in today. And I was going to ask you, but I won't put you on the spot. You don't have to confess which one, unless you
So,
want to.
well, one thing I'm aware of is that when the holidays are approaching, no matter what your feelings are, they seem to intensify as the holidays get closer.
That's
So,
true.
if you look forward to the holidays, you get more excited.
That's true.
And I think I've always felt that way a little bit, that especially as Thanksgiving and Christmas approaches, because I always loved getting together with family, and I loved the lights, and I loved how cheerful people seem to be and how giving and etc. And that just seems to intensify as we get closer to the holidays. I just see that Christmas cheer. But I am aware that there are other people who, for them, maybe the holidays have not been good. Things have not been easy with their family, or maybe they're experiencing grief this holiday season. They're missing people that they used to spend the holidays with for various reasons. And now those feelings of grief or sadness or loneliness might be intensifying as they get in towards the holidays, because they're anticipating that it's going to be harder than usual.
Right. And when I think about what you're saying, I feel like I can see, at least in my community, a lot of fear and
Mm.
overwhelm.
Mhm.
A lot of
Mhm.
fear and overwhelm. There's, with the political unrest, a lot of people have that
Mhm.
in their
Mhm.
mind. They're very concerned about, what's happening in our nation. We have global issues that are happening. I have friends in different countries that are experiencing their same unrest, war, right?
Mhm.
There are people who are really trying to just not be anxious, during this
Mhm. Mhm.
holiday season because there's so much to process. Um,
Mhm.
Christmas for maybe many people doesn't feel the same, and
Mhm.
yet there seems to be a desire to, hey, let's have a reason to celebrate,
Mhm.
despite
Mhm.
everything that's going on. How can we I'm struggling with figuring out how can I still be happy at a happy time of year with all that's
Mhm.
going on. That's what
Mhm.
I that's what I'm
Mhm.
observing. in the
Es-
spaces that I've been in.
yeah, especially I think when there's so much emphasis during the holidays on traditions. So
Mm-hmm.
when you're aware things are about to change or you're not going to be
Yeah,
able to do some of those same traditions, it just leaves you feeling like, well, how am I going to be able to celebrate it now
sure.
without those traditions or without those people? So, and I think sometimes too, and I'm sure you've noticed this, sometimes we feel this, I don't know, like a low level anxiety,
Mm-hmm.
maybe, and we don't even know where it's coming from.
Sure.
Maybe we've always liked the holidays before, and now we're thinking, gosh, I'm not sure how I feel about it this time, or I want to like it, but I just feel so depressed or so, maybe a little bit anxious about it, and I don't know where it's coming from.
I
So,
know
do you
when.
find that for people?
Oh, yes, yes. The mysteriousness of where my feelings are coming from, because we're so
Mm-hmm.
disconnected from our bodies, our
Mm,
culture doesn't allow us. We can only feel good things. Our culture tends
mm,
to
mm-hmm,
um kind of crucify you or shame you when you're not your happy-go-lucky bubbly,
mm-hmm,
and
mm-hmm,
so we can feel like, oh, there must be something wrong with me when I don't have, there must be, I got to shake out of this. I got to get myself together because I don't feel
mm-hmm,
this
mm-hmm,
euphoria all the time, or I'm not able to be a euphoric, happy bubble presence for people
mm-hmm,
whenever they
mm-hmm,
see me. They maybe expect to find me a certain way. But in this season of life, I may be experiencing a winter. And so, I
mm,
may not be able to provide sunshine because my life is experiencing winter right now, and,
mm-hmm,
you
mm-hmm,
know, Jesus said there's a time for everything, and I want to
mm-hmm,
say that to those listening on or that will listen on, one of the big things right out the gate as we talk about thriving during the holidays is I want you to know you can do this. Okay. You can do
mm-hmm.
this. This isn't some cheerleader pep talk, but we can do that too. Rah, rah, sis, boom, bah. Right. but, but you can do this. We can do this. We can,
Mm-hmm,
whatever's going on, whatever we've experienced, however it's happening, whether we're just so excited or we are really feeling pain that we're not,
mm-hmm,
we can do this. We can make it through this season doing
mm-hmm,
well. And I think, Nina, one of the first things out the gate that I want to say is the same thing they tell you at the on the airplane. One of the best ways we're going to thrive during this holiday season is to make sure we have our mask on first.
mm. Taking care of ourselves first. Yeah. So
Absolutely.
what do you mean by that? And I noticed a moment before you said something about it. We're so disconnected from our bodies, and I have a feeling that has something to do with this. Is that right?
Oh, absolutely. Because because I mean, research, that's why that book was created. The Body Keeps the Score, right? The
Mm-hmm.
Body is a it's
Mm-hmm.
a book. It's amazing. The
Mm-hmm.
Body Keeps the Score. But one of the ideas is that, our body is feeling things, but because we're on automatic by the time age 30 or 35, if I'm not mistaken,
Mm-hmm.
you're really on automatic. You don't have to think about how to tie your shoes. You don't have to think about many
Mm-hmm.
things that you're just doing and going and going, but your body is taking a record of those things, and so some of us,
Mm-hmm.
we're living with that low level of anxiety just as a norm. We think it's normal to be
Mm-hmm.
anxious or to
Mm-hmm.
feel tight, and one of the biggest indicators is like, hey, how are those shoulders doing? Are you a little tight in
Oh,
your
yeah.
back? Are you having
Stepping
headaches?
on my toes now. Here we go.
You're not by
Because that
yourself,
is, yeah, that is where I carry tension for sure.
our body is one of
Yeah.
the things that let us know something's going on, because a lot of times we just may not be mentally connected to our subconscious mind, which is that's how we're made, So our body has to give us those tight stomach or butterflies or those feelings. We may even, you
Mm-hmm.
know, get ill because
Mm.
we
Mhm.
don't realize that, hey, we're processing so much and we're not connected to it, but our body is, and it's not to
Ah.
shame our body. Our body's there to create homeostasis, it's there to protect us,
Mhm.
it's our friend, and so somebody might shame themselves for getting sick or for being down or for having pains. Like,
Mhm.
I should be able to do better than that. But it's like, no, your body's here to help you. Like, it's letting you know that it's your
Mhm.
time to take care of you.
Mhm.
We need some extra support. And this is why your body's feeling whatever it's feeling,
Mhm.
possibly. I mean, of course, there's other factors. I'm not a physician, but
Mhm.
yeah.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
So when you're feeling something in your body, even if it's something unusual, I would say, like maybe you don't feel it all the time, but maybe it's the tension in your shoulders. Maybe it's that you're getting headaches more often.
Yeah.
Maybe it is that tight feeling in your gut, or that you just find yourself, under the weather more often, or just having trouble getting up in the morning. All of these are signals that we need to pay attention to because they're telling us something, right?
Absolutely. And for me, for sometimes I don't necessarily feel bodily pain, but I realize my appetite increases or decreases. It just
Oh,
depends.
yeah.
Like I find myself having extra portions or just like, I just gotta get it, that third piece of pie. You know what I mean? So
Yes, craving the comfort
hmm
food for
yeah.
one thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Or
Um,
sometimes getting so wrapped up in the busyness of things that you forget to eat, don't even notice.
yeah.
Yeah.
Or like if I have to slow down to eat, I have to also slow down to think. And when I slow
Oh.
down to eat, think,
Mhm.
sleep, this is where my body is wanting to say, hey, this must be an opportunity for me to
Mhm.
process some of this stuff that I've experienced,
Yeah.
that I'm thinking about. And now I might start getting intrusive thoughts, you know, or
Mhm.
something that
Mhm.
I don't really want to think about. I don't really want to, process. I really kind of just want to just go on with my life. But
Mhm.
because I'm stopping the go, 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 you know what I mean? Now,
Mhm.
um, my body's like, yes, here goes a chance to process some of this junk we've got going on in our brain. But we're,
Mhm.
continuing on, trying to
Mhm.
stuff it down with food, alcohol, drugs, people, sex,
Mhm.
behaviors,
Mhm.
zone out with our
Mhm.
phone or some shows, like, and so
Yeah.
it can
Yeah.
compound. It can compound. It can.
So I've heard some people say, and I think it's true for me, at least on occasion, that when I feel those things in my body, or even just in my mind, like where's my thoughts going? That eh, a lot of times that's telling me that something has triggered me. Something has happened. Great to see you too, Elvira. So glad you're
Yes,
here.
great to see you.
Yeah. Um, that something has triggered me, and it would behoove me to pay attention to what that was.
Absolutely, and see, I love to do, like, 5 tips, 5 points, you know,
Mhm.
5 things, like,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
I think that's number 1, Nina. When we're gonna think about how to thrive during the holidays, I think our
Mhm.
number 1 is to be able to recognize our stress triggers, you know, um,
Ooh.
because if I can just become aware. Awareness is one of
Mhm.
the first steps to recovery, right?
Mhm.
Awareness
Mhm.
is one of the first steps to healing. I don't seek healing unless I'm aware that I need it. And so if I
Right.
can become
Right.
aware of my stress triggers, what am and one of the things to do is to do a daily check-in. If we can do a daily check-in with our body, a
Mhm.
daily check-in with our mind, a daily check-in with our energy, like, how am I feeling? Am I just bogged
Yeah.
down? Am I like super, like, because some of us, we don't, when we are stressed, we actually don't become sluggish and lethargic. We go a bit extra, I'm not going to call it manic, but
Get a
I mean,
little
in some ways
hyper.
we do, but
Yeah.
yeah, we go extra hyper,
Yeah.
extra, we're just like, can't stop, can't stop. And, maybe we can
Mhm.
become rude or, just
Mm. Mhm.
absent, you know what I mean? Because we're just like we rev way up. because we actually
Right.
are anxious. And some of us, we just slow way down, and so
Mhm.
and that's part of that stopping and putting on my mask first, do a daily check
Mhm.
in with yourself.
Mhm.
Like, okay, what's going on? We can ask ourselves
Mhm.
questions. And I love the scriptures because one of the scriptures that supports this, not being afraid of checking in with myself, it says, be still. Be
Mm. Mhm.
still and know that I am God. Psalms 46, verse 10. And that's
Mhm.
so grounding to me,
Mhm.
I'm God, I've got you. It's okay for you to not be okay. It is,
Mm.
let's
Mhm.
look at your condition. Let's look at what's going on in your life so that we
Mhm.
can make a plan, so that we
Mhm.
can start the healing process if needed.
Yeah. Yeah. And maybe ask. So I kind of see the daily check-in as taking an assessment of where am I
Yeah,
today?
that's right.
What's going on inside me today? What am I thinking today? What am I feeling today? Am I feeling a little depressed? Am I feeling excited about the day? Or, especially anything that might be outside the norm. And then maybe asking ourselves, where is this coming from? What is this
Mhm.
coming? If I am feeling depressed, what am I feeling depressed about? What
Yeah,
kind of thoughts have been going on in my mind, or what's in my heart, or uh, to borrow something from what is that? A Christmas Carol. Scrooge and all of that. And when he's seeing Marley's ghost, one of the things he
mhm,
says is, "Oh, you're just a bit of mustard." With something I ate yesterday, and that's why I'm
mhm.
having this hallucination or whatever.
Right.
And sometimes it can be things that we've eaten that are changing
Sure.
the neurochemistry in our brain, but sometimes it's things that we're already thinking or anticipating, and they've kind of triggered us to be, you know. So are there, but now I have this question. How can you tell the difference between oh, well, this is just a normal thing, this is, a normal stress level, or maybe this is a big sign of burnout, or maybe I am in distress and I shouldn't just push this under and say, oh, well, it's no big deal. How can I
That's
tell
a
the difference?
That's a really great question, and I want to answer it this way. There's something that psychologists and therapists use called the DSM-5, the Diagnostic Statistical Manual, version 5, right? And
Mm-hmm.
that's what they use for diagnosing people. And so I am not a therapist, and I'm not here to diagnose anything. However, that book definitely lets therapists know that when a person says they have been experiencing certain adverse feelings or emotions, thoughts,
Mm-hmm.
behaviors for 4 weeks or more, then that's when it's really time to check in. It's time to check in with the
Okay.
therapist, perhaps your doctor, right? Like, and when I say
Mm-hmm.
that,
Mm-hmm.
this is when now it's time to check in to make sure this isn't becoming something chronic, right? This isn't
Mm-hmm.
becoming a
Mm-hmm.
deeper issue. I mean, it's normal for anyone to feel, any feeling on the spectrum, to
Mm-hmm.
feel, for it to come and to go. But another thing that we learn in mental health first aid is impact, right? So maybe you
Mm-hmm.
look and say, well, I've not been feeling like this for, 4 weeks or more, which could indicate that I might be headed towards depression or anxiety, a disorder of
Mm-hmm.
some kind. I could be headed there, not necessarily, but it's time to check in. But maybe I'm not at that level. So I think about impact, right? How I'm feeling impacting my day-to-day living, my
Mm-hmm.
quality of life, is whatever I'm experiencing causing impact, right? Good morning.
Mm-hmm.
And
Good
could I
morning,
just give this
AC.
can I just
Sure.
give this analogy really fast? In mental health first aid, sometimes we talk about, the different types of car accidents. You have a fender bender, which is where,
Mhm.
maybe just the back of my car got hit. And then you have, a more serious car accident where maybe you can still drive your car, but there's like the side's been dented and you got to crawl in on the other
Mhm.
side of your car,
Yeah,
right? You can
a
drive
little
it.
more annoying now. Yeah.
Yes, you got some cracked
Yes.
glass, but you're not totaled.
Mhm.
And then there's
Mhm.
the level of unwellness where, hey, now, I can't even drive my car. My car
Mhm.
is busted
Mhm.
out. And some of us have been in car accidents. We know what it's like to have a totaled car. Some of us, we're like,
Mhm.
man, the insurance company, they totaled my car. It didn't look totaled to me, but it's
Yes,
total.
yes.
It's totaled,
Mhm.
and it more damage is there than you realize, and
Mhm.
so that's what I think about when I think about impact of wellness, mental wellness. How impacted am I feeling this way?
That's a very good analogy. I
I
think it
love it.
really helps us, yeah, it really helps us understand the level of, uh, well, like you said, the level of impact,
And we
what
can see
it's
that for
doing to
family
us.
members. Sorry.
Mhm, mhm. Yeah, I think that's true, and I'm thinking also, oh gosh, I'm thinking also of times where, to use the car analogy there, where I have been, not wanting to let people know, you
hmm
know, where things are. I don't want them to see. It's like, oh, I don't, I now my car has this cracked glass. I really don't want to take it somewhere where other people will see that there's cracked glass because I feel like somehow that reflects on me. And so I'm just going to make up some excuse and stay home because we're
hmm
hiding. Yeah, we're hiding what's going on.
Absolutely.
Mm,
I know I remember, and I know I've told my story here on the show before, but I remember before being hospitalized for depression, I was going to drive my
mhm,
car off a bridge. Um, and
mm,
I had serious questions about whether or not me and my baby should be living. I was just that broken down
mhm,
at that time.
mhm,
And I remember telling my husband, like, don't tell anybody what's going on. You know what I mean? Like,
mm,
I was
mhm,
so
mhm,
adamant about him not speaking to anyone because I was so embarrassed. I
mhm,
was a leader
mhm,
in a prominent organization that was making thousands upon thousands of hundreds of thousands of dollars. We had global impact, right? And
mhm,
so
mhm,
there were, I don't want to embellish the number, but at least 60 to 70 students that we were responsible for. And that includes
mhm,
like, the other entities
mhm,
that they represented, in the different countries, their governmental people that were looking to us for solutions. And
mhm,
so I was very worried about my reputation because
mhm,
what's going to happen when somebody's like, oh, what do you mean Mia's paranoid? She's scared
mhm,
somebody's gonna steal her and her baby, or what do you mean you're not sleeping? And some of our
mhm,
communities feel so small. Like once the doctor
mhm.
knows, everybody knows because that's where I live.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I think that what helped is that I actually did crash, in the sense that I didn't actually crash my car, but it got so bad that I couldn't hide it anymore. And that's
Mm,
what we want
mhm.
people to not get to. That's why we're having the show, right? Um,
Yes, yes,
yeah, but
yes.
it will
So,
come to that. If we don't do
mhm,
something, then we will, in some way or another, break down.
mhm.
Yeah.
So let me back up a little bit there and ask, when you were getting to this level of overwhelm, because I'm thinking you must have felt so overwhelmed that this seemed like the only viable option to
hmm
you. Is that correct? Okay. So when you were getting toward that place of overwhelm, was it obvious to your family?
I think it was obvious to my family that something was very wrong, but not
Mhm.
obvious that I was suicidal at that point, if that makes sense. Because
Mhm.
once again,
Yeah.
for those of us who are bubbly and, I don't even think it was clear to me that I was suicidal. I didn't think of
Mhm.
myself as suicidal. I only thought of myself as what's the point of living? You know what I mean? I didn't
Mhm.
think, oh, I'm
Mhm.
suicidal. I just thought I have no hope. I thought nothing's going to get better. Things are just so
Mhm.
bad and I don't see a way
Mhm.
out. But I didn't recognize
Mhm.
that personally that I was suicidal until I was there, like in the
Mhm.
moment of
Mhm.
making that decision or trying to make that decision. And the
Yeah.
signs that people could see was like my sleeping patterns had changed. And I guess that's just a FYI for people who may be watching, for yourself or for someone you love,
Mhm.
what does their sleep look like? Their eating,
Mm.
are they
Mhm.
showing up the way you would expect them to? When I say show up, like however you're used to them being, has there been a significant change that is unexpected and causes your eyebrow to raise? Those are
Mhm.
things that would be important. So me, I'm eating like 30 candy bars a day. My husband was seeing all
Mhm.
these wrappers in the trash can. He'd wake up in the middle of the night to
Mhm.
use the bathroom and see that I've been up all night, you know? You
Mhm.
know what I
Mhm.
mean? And he
Could be
gets
the
up in the
sugar
morning.
high from all the
Well,
candy bars, but
absolutely.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Absolutely. And for me, and that's why I was eating them, because I didn't want to go to sleep. But now you could
Mm.
think, oh,
Mm.
it's, new baby, new mom, they don't sleep, you know what I'm saying? And so those, you're rationalizing things away, like, oh, it's this and
Mhm.
oh, it's just that. But what
Mhm.
the core root of my feelings was fear that something bad would happen to my child, that
Mm.
somebody was going to harm them, like had happened to me and my family members.
Mm.
I
Mhm.
had
Mhm.
unresolved trauma. And for us, if we can be honest, going home for the holidays sometimes can awaken those things. It can
Mhm.
awaken unresolved issues. One of my favorite psychologists, her name is Rochelle Hanson. She talks about
Mhm.
there are important times in life where we may be triggered, right? Because point number
Mhm.
one was knowing your triggers and then knowing what to do about them, right? Point number two, I'm going to say, is going to be setting healthy, loving boundaries, right? But now
Mhm.
Dr. Hanson, she says, it's during certain key times in life where we are probably going to be triggered, like the death of a parent, illness,
Mm.
um,
Mhm.
the loss of a job, right? Certain milestones that we may reach in our own age or in the
Mm.
ages of our
Mm.
kids, right? These are
Mhm.
times where we're going to be triggered. And so it's important for us to be aware. There was that awareness again, right? Of
Mhm.
that fact that that is normal. That's standard. It's going to happen. It's not something wrong with you because it's happening. This is just a part of being a human. But now, setting loving boundaries, how can we, and before I say that, I saw you, Nina, you're like, ooh, did something stand out to you about
Mhm.
that? Please share.
Oh, yes, yes. Because
Okay.
I've just in the last 10 years
Mhm.
really been through, some of these transitions. The holidays had always been a time where the whole family got together, and I just relished the, community, the fellowship we had together, the love that we shared, seeing each other, when you hadn't seen each other in a long time. And of course, when you become a parent, I think you understand, okay, now it's my turn to create these kind of happy memories for my kids, the way my parents did for me. But a lot of times your parents are still there and you're still looking to them. You're starting to study them now in a way you hadn't before. While you were growing up, there were some things that were obvious to you. Oh, well, mom and dad always did this, so I'm going to do that with my kids. But as you're growing older and you're trying to make these things happen with your kids or make the holiday special for your kids, you start studying your parents more and thinking, okay, now wait a minute. What is it really? If there came a season where we couldn't do this particular tradition, is it okay to let it go? Would my parents do that? What would their attitude be about it? Would they try something different? Did they just, you know, so you're really kind of studying them. But then the day comes when one of your parents passes away,
Mhm.
and suddenly you realize, "Oh my goodness, I kinda studied them before, but I never asked them. I never
Yeah.
asked them how they navigated these things or, what their mindset about it was. I always assumed these things were important, certain things, but I never asked them what was important to them, and sometimes you get really surprised about the answer. And just to give you for instance, and I think this is kind of a classic example. It's the lady who is, oh, we have this certain pot roast that we always fix for this particular meal. And you have to, I'm trying to teach my daughter how to do it. And so you have to cut off the end of this pot roast and you have to put it in the pot. And my daughter asked the question, well, why do you have to cut the end off? I don't know. My mom always did. So then you go call your mom and you say, Mom, why do we always cut the end off the pot roast? And she says, well, for me, it was because it didn't fit in my pot.
Sure.
You know, and you're sitting here, it fits in your pot without cutting that, but you never thought of not cutting the end off because mom always did it. So now, but now you're at this place where maybe mom is not around and you can't ask her anymore and you don't know why. And so you're thinking, if I stop doing it, is something bad going to happen? Is it going to change everything? Or my kids going to say, oh, it's not the same? Or, whatever. Am I going to ruin the holidays for everybody? You suddenly begin to realize, oh, now the expectation of making those special memories or whatever that I look to my parents for, now it's all on me. And I don't have that guidance anymore that I used to have. And then maybe the last parent passes away. For me, that was my mom in 2018. My dad passed away in 2022. And there is something very impactful about when that last parent passes away because you suddenly feel like, well, that's it. Now I'm in their tier. Now all of the generations under me look to me for that guidance and that wisdom. And I don't mind telling you, you don't just magically feel like, okay, well, I've arrived. No, instead, you feel like, oh, how am I going to live up to the legend that I think they were? Or how am I going to be better than what they thought they were when I don't know how? You get a little bit of that imposter syndrome, like, I shouldn't be in this place. They shouldn't be looking to me. And that can be very um, unsettling. It kind of can rock your whole foundation so that you're, yes, yes, AC, it's exactly like that. She says, when they both left, I felt like an adult orphan.
Wow. Wow. Way to put it.
Yes, and Rodney is saying, sadly, this is my first Christmas without my dad, who passed on March the 8th.
Oh, wow.
So,
Wow. Wow.
yeah, so Rodney
Okay.
knows. Yeah, he knows
Mhm.
what I'm
Mhm.
talking about here. This is exactly this whole shift, I think, in our mental and emotional well-being, because we always look to a person for that security,
And you
and
know,
now suddenly they're gone.
and in my as I'm listening to you, I'm just like, man, thank you first of all, Nina, for sharing what you're saying, and also AC and Rodney, thank you for sharing
Mhm,
your loss with us. Thank you for trusting us to know what you're experiencing in your life right now, what you've experienced. That is an honor to be able to know more about you.
mhm,
That's a privilege for us to hear your experience, Nina. To hear your experience, AC, and yours, Rodney. It's an honor because I think that sometimes we, I don't know about you guys, but for me, like, I can isolate. I don't want people to know what's going on. You know
mhm,
what I mean? Like we
mhm,
talked about earlier. And so it's so important to share your real thoughts, like Nina was just doing, and how the two of you just did, AC and Rodney. It's so important to actually share our real thoughts. This is what this experience is looking like or feeling like for me right now. To have an
Mhm.
outlet where I can actually do that and know that I'm not going to be shamed for it. You know what I mean? Like,
Mhm.
I'm not going to
Mhm.
be shamed for talking about how I feel like an imposter because now the older generation is gone and I feel like I don't have it, or I don't know how to do
Mhm.
this.
Mhm.
I'm not going to Nobody's going to be like, "Oh, you'll be fine, you at least you had your, like nobody's going to do that." You know what I mean? Like
Mhm.
we
Mhm.
want to be in in community with people
Mhm.
that aren't going to shame us for however we're feeling. Does that make sense? Because
Mhm. Mhm.
shame doesn't help us. And we also want to be gentle with ourselves, like let me be gentle with myself and be kind to me for however tender I may be feeling in this season.
Mhm.
Seasons change. And so this season, this actual season, and this season of life, I may be more tender. But that doesn't mean that the
Mhm.
way I feel now about Christmas or Thanksgiving is how I'm going to feel next Christmas or next Thanksgiving or next
Mhm.
season.
Mhm.
Like
Ooh, that's
next year, I may be so pumped and like, all right, time to do
yeah.
some memory things for mom and dad, time to,
Yeah. Yeah.
like, oh, we're going to do, candlelight service or something. We're going to do something
Mhm.
epic. That may be how you feel the next season around of life or of just the actual season. And
Mhm.
so however I am right now though, I can honor that and and it's okay. It's
Mhm.
accepted.
Mhm.
Whatever it is,
Yeah.
you're accepted. Oh, look at that. In
Oh,
memory of all the
yeah,
loved
I
ones
love
who
that.
cannot be with us this holiday season. I love it. Love it. Love it.
That's lovely,
Absolutely.
Rodney. Thank you for that.
Absolutely.
And yes, and I do agree with that. So, but I also want to know, because one of the other things that I know I personally have experienced is a measure of guilt.
Hmm.
So, and that guilt has to do with because you're taking care of yourself, you're trying to take
Right.
care of yourself, put on your mask first, and you recognize there are certain things that maybe my parents always did, or the whole family seems to expect and they look forward to, and I just don't have the energy to do it. Or maybe that particular thing, I love seeing people enjoy it. I don't love being the one to provide it, you know. Like I heard a friend of mine say, "Oh, my mom
That's right.
always baked like dozens and dozens of cookies." And she said, "I don't like to bake." And now my mom is gone, and my kids keep talking about how now there's not any good cookies anymore. And they keep asking her to bake, and she feels guilty because she doesn't want to do that. So, how do you set boundaries for yourself? And especially when you feel like, oh, but if I do that, am I ruining the holiday for my kids? Am I leading them into discontent or stress or depression because I'm not willing to do,
This is
something that
beautiful.
everybody's been expecting.
This is beautiful. I love what you're bringing out, and it brings several concepts to mind. Number one, the number one to me is we're not responsible for other people's feelings. They are.
Mm,
We're
mm,
not responsible. We're only responsible for our actions, but we are not responsible for how people choose to feel about it. Because guess what? I can
mhm,
tickle you and you can let yourself be tickled, or I can tickle
mhm.
you and you're like, get off of me, leave me alone. You get what I'm saying? I can
Right,
step on
right,
your foot
right.
and you can decide to curse me out, or I can step on your foot and you can decide to have grace and mercy and be like, well, she didn't mean it. Like you choose your feelings. You
Mhm,
absolutely do. And it's okay to choose what you choose as long as you're going to be the one who is responsible for it. And so I
mhm,
would say
mhm,
to that auntie, mom person who's, am I going to ruin the holidays? I believe that's a cognitive distortion. Am I
mm,
going to ruin the
mhm,
holidays for other people? I think that's a lie believed that we could address, right? Like, it's not possible for me to ruin it for other people because they would have to have chosen that. Even if I came
Mhm.
to their house and was the big fat jerk ever, like when I say big fat, I'm not speaking about bodily. I'm just saying, like, if I was, just such a huge jerk, I'm just so mean to everyone. At the end of the day, they
Mhm.
still choose their feelings. I'm responsible for my actions, absolutely. But how they decide to feel about it at any given time is their blessing, as it were.
Mhm.
And then something you said was boundaries, Um, I believe that it is so important to, one, since we're connecting with our mind, our body, our energy to figure out where we're at. Two, we can figure out what do we want. Mask on first, like that
Mhm.
mom
Mhm.
that feels the pressure of feeling the shoes of someone who's gone before her, she can decide, hey, I don't like baking, but maybe I could take this on and let everybody know, hey, these cookies aren't going to taste like grandma's, but let's just see. What if we do it together? New
Mhm.
tradition.
Mhm.
In
Mhm.
honor of grandma, we're going to bake so many cookies and we're going to give them out to, whoever will allow you to do that these days. It's kind of
Mhm.
different now, right?
Mhm. Yeah.
But we're going to do this in honor of grandma. We can always do a reframe, a shift. Or if she's
Mhm.
truly like, I don't want to do it. It's too painful to even think about baking
Mhm.
cookies. And I just, it's just something I don't want to
Oh,
do.
yeah. Yeah, the whole
You
time
know,
I'm gonna be in the kitchen, I'm gonna be thinking about missing my mom and, and
sure.
I don't even wanna go there.
Right.
So
And that to me is like, know thyself. There is here, this is from the University of Michigan. And this is Brene Brown's work. She was talking about vulnerability. Brene Brown,
Mhm.
she's amazing, right? And
Mhm.
what they found in the research there at the University of Michigan was like, when we reduce like our anxiety, it will actually improve our relationship satisfaction. And one of the ways to reduce that anxiety is by setting boundaries. And one of the ways to set boundaries is first figuring out for ourselves, what do we want?
Mm, mm.
Like, what do I
That's
want?
powerful.
What
Mhm.
do I want in this situation? What do I believe will help me? Because I do have
Mhm.
to get my mask on first. And if I make a decision solely based on what other people want, then I am not putting on a mask that is helpful to me.
Mhm.
Right. But
Mhm.
if I can think about, well, what do I want? What is important to me right now? Is it, and this may sound selfish and unchristlike, like me. It's not that. Jesus took time to pray and get away from people. Luke 5:16. Oh, that's
Mhm.
selfish. Look how many people needed to be healed. Look how many people are waiting and they're starving and they're
Mhm.
dying. Jesus, how can you go away to pray?
Yeah.
But Jesus didn't heal everybody.
Mhm.
He did not.
Yeah.
And so we
That's so
can we
true.
can set
And
boundaries.
yeah. And he was in an earthly body that needed sleep, that needed food, that needed
Yes.
comfort at times, that needed aloneness at times
Yes.
to, be
And
able
to not do
to
it if
listen.
everybody else wanted him to do, because they wanted to make him king and
Mhm.
they wanted him to
Yes.
take over
Oh.
the Romans. And when he died on the
Mhm.
cross, they were so disappointed. Like,
Mhm.
how could this be? And so setting boundaries is loving God and loving yourself. And of course, we're when we can love ourselves and be at peace, we'll have more to give other people, way more.
Mhm.
Will
Mhm.
come from a better mind frame. What if she did it for the sake of the people? I baked, and then they don't even like her cookies, or they're like, oh, never mind, we
Mm.
got cookies from so and so's mom. You know what I mean? And
Yes,
she went did
yes.
this,
I just did all that and they
right?
don't even want them.
Nobody's
So, but
thankful, and she.
yeah, I love the reframe though, and I love I love the fact that you don't have to stress yourself out looking for a way to set your boundaries and still trying so hard not to give offense.
Mhm.
That recognizing how they take it is up to them.
It's
I'm
really
not
their
trying
business.
to give offense, but Rodney says, I'll eat them.
He do.
So, but I love the reframe in particular of like, we still want to find a way to us in particular, we want to find a way to honor grandma. Her thing was cookies. So, but I don't like to bake, so maybe I don't want to do cookies. But maybe I could say to my kids, hey, I'm going to copy out her handwritten recipes for her cookies. And
Nice. That's a
we're
great
going to
idea.
make this a gift to all the, family members. Now they can go bake their own cookies.
See, that's legacy right
And
there. That's beautiful.
yeah, yeah. So it helps you put your mask on. You can be you and do you, and at the same time say, but I want to acknowledge that that meant a lot to all of us. And if one
Yeah.
of you loves to bake and you want to bake grandma's cookies, hey, we would all enjoy that.
Absolutely. And that's beautiful because now whatever everybody else decides to do or how they feel about it, that was their business.
Hmm.
And I can be okay knowing I did what I needed to do for me, which gives me more space to love them, to show up,
Yeah,
because
yeah.
I've taken care of my needs, you know.
Hmm. Hmm.
There's something else you brought up, Nina. Oh, sorry. Well,
Sure. No, go ahead. Go ahead.
it made me think about comparison.
Yeah.
Comparison, somebody said fruitcakes are a bit much. Sure.
I don't know.
Oh,
I
man.
love fruitcake, but only my grandmother's recipe, I have to say. But you know what? I saw the recipe and I thought, I don't see myself ever doing that because it was
Oh,
involved.
man. Speaking
But
of,
yeah.
my husband's grandmother, God rest her soul, she used to make it was called black cake, and you had to like soak these types of, and I'm gonna say it wrong, but some type of berries or currants for like almost a whole
Hmm.
year or something like that, and like in
Oh,
water,
wow.
and then you take the juice and the berry, and I mean, but when you get that cake, it is amazing, and it looks black for some
Hmm.
reason, right? And
Hmm.
they give it
Hmm.
out at like Christmas times and weddings and stuff like that. So I guess it's like the, I don't know, Caribbean or Guyanese
Hmm. Hmm.
fruit cake, so to speak. It's
Yes.
amazing. It's amazing. But it took someone thinking that far in advance to make it, you know?
Hmm.
And so
Hmm.
it's really special. It's not something you get like all the time, you know.
Hmm.
But anyway, that fruitcake thing made me think about that. Um, I was thinking about something earlier you said, Nina, and it was about comparison. With that same
Hmm.
scenario of hey, can you make the cookies like grandma did? It's like I'm now being compared to what grandma was and did. I'm being put in her place, so to speak. Or another way, like that comparison can come up is like social media right now. I get on there
Mm,
and see what
mm,
all people are. Oh, they're going to Mexico for Christmas. Oh wow, they're in Paris. Or oh wow, look at
mhm,
all their family
mhm,
came together for Christmas, and I'm over here, with my dog. You know what I mean? Like
mhm,
you
mhm.
can compare. And the internet makes it so easy now to look into your neighbor's house, so to speak. you
Yes,
know.
yes.
Mhm.
Yeah, that is so true. And boy, can we get into trouble with that. Both feeling sorry for ourselves, but also feeling sorry for other people.
Ooh, I didn't think about the feel sorry. I was thinking jealousy.
Yeah,
But you're right, that's technically, yeah, okay.
yeah. I think you're feeling sorry for yourself when you do have some jealousy for,
Mm.
they've got this lovely house and I just live in this apartment, or whatever it is, there's that comparison. But sometimes it can trigger feeling sorry for other people
Mm.
too. And the thing I'm thinking about in particular, I had a friend who one Christmas she couldn't afford to do a tree. And I took it upon myself to get her a tree because I was like, oh, I feel so
Mm.
sorry for her. Nobody should have to spend Christmas without a Christmas tree, and, et cetera, et cetera. And it worked out. She was grateful to have it. And,
Nice.
but now I'm on the receiving end of this a little bit because for the last 4 years, now don't get me wrong, I love Christmas. I love celebrating Christmas, but for the last 4 years, I have not put up a tree.
Mhm.
And I have other people who say, "Have you got your tree up yet?" And I say, "No, I don't put up a tree anymore." And they look at me like, "Oh," and I can tell they feel sorry for me right away, like, "Oh dear, something's wrong that she's not putting up a tree." Well, here's my thought process in doing it. For several years, I put up a tree, but one of the things I discovered was that what I always loved about having a tree, and I love looking at it, I do, but what I loved about putting up the tree was doing it with family. Now that
Mm.
it's just me, it's not nearly as much fun to put it up.
Mhm.
And then once it was up, I loved having people over so we could all enjoy it together. Well, I was putting it up and then nobody was coming over. I would go to
Mhm.
their house. They would invite me to their house because they had kids or whatever. It just was more convenient for them. And so now nobody is here to enjoy the tree with me. And then at the end of the season, I dreaded putting it away. I
Yeah.
really disliked that task. The only reason it was okay before is because I always had help doing it and we could get it done in a day. But
Yeah.
now suddenly taking down a tree just felt like the biggest chore. And one year I thought, what if I just didn't put one up?
Mhm.
What would happen? What would the holidays be like? And I found myself not missing it at all. I
Okay.
enjoyed everyone else's trees and I loved it. But as soon as I walked in my house, the first thing I thought of was, I'm not going to have that awful chore of taking it down later. And I feel like I enjoyed the holidays just as much not
See?
doing it. But now
Ooh.
I do see people kind of looking at me like, "Oh, what's wrong? She doesn't put up a tree," and
See, that's
feeling kind of
powerful.
sorry for me. People have even offered to get me a tree, and I'm like, "No, no, thank you, but
Please,
no."
please don't. See, that's I love how you said that, Nina, because wow, it sounds like instead of comparison, which is where you could have gone like, oh, my house was the house that people came to, now it's not. You
Mhm,
instead traded that comparison for connection. Like,
mhm.
hey, I get
Ooh,
to still be connected to people. You know what I mean? Like, people want me to come over and be around their children,
mhm,
and people want to connect with me, and it's bigger than just having a tree to everybody look at me and my tree in my house. But hey, I get to enjoy the fellowship with other people and not have this big chore later. And so I
mhm,
think that's
mhm,
just really powerful. And I think that maybe for some of us, listening on, I know for myself, if we talked about the different camps, how people feel about the holidays, right? And
mhm,
I
mhm,
know for me, I sometimes have compared myself to people who, you know, they have what I want for Christmas, but I don't
mhm,
have it and I'm
mhm,
sad. But now it's like,
mhm,
well, what if I focus on connection? You know what I mean? Like, I can connect to not what I don't have, but what I do have. You don't have the people coming over, but you do have people who want you over. And
mhm.
some of
Oh,
us,
you
we
just
don't.
said a mouthful right there. That's really, really good. So, okay, let me put the fly in the ointment with what you just
Okay.
said. You want that connection, and I honestly, I think that's what most people love about the holidays is a
Yeah.
certain measure of connection. No matter what you're doing,
Yeah.
it's that you can do it together or in
Mhm.
community um, or even if you're enjoying something, not necessarily connecting with each other, but you're both enjoying the same thing together. There's even something in that makes you feel like there's some connection. But what if you want that connection, but you don't have that kind of connection with your family? There isn't people who want you to come over. There's not anyone that you feel like you'd be imposing to go insert yourself in someone else's family holiday. What do you do then?
Yeah, that's real. And so, I mean, in all transparency, I think that that's a situation I'm kind of facing personally. You know what I mean? Like,
Mm,
I
mm,
do have
mhm,
people that um maybe I want to connect with, but they don't necessarily want to connect with me, you know what I mean? Or
Mm,
connecting at this time is possibly so painful that it's like we both just rather not. Or,
mhm.
there's even another set of people when you connect, um the connection is not connection. It's we're together, but we're
Mhm.
not connected. Makes
Right,
sense? And so
right.
I'm here out of form and fashion and because I'm supposed to versus I'm connected to you. That feels different.
Mhm,
And so
mhm,
you can be in a room full of people and feel just as lonely and bare and naked, you know,
mhm,
and
mhm.
torn down, And
Yes.
so to the person who may be watching this now or later that feels lonely, like, I wish I had someone to connect to. I wish I had that family member that I'm used to going to go see and I won't be able because of loss or
Mhm,
divorce or
mhm,
estrangement, right? Or just it's just
mhm,
not possible for whatever reason. There we can always still connect, but that once again it's checking back in with self. Okay, like I don't identify anyone that I can connect with, but there's always something I can connect with, like nature, for instance, right?
mm,
So
mm,
I can
mhm,
connect with nature. I can be out in nature. I can go where there are animals. I can go where there are people, even though I'm not invited, but at the playground there are
mhm,
families and kids, and just seeing kids play might make me
mhm,
happy. You know what I mean? It
mhm,
might make me cry
mhm,
too, and that's okay because when I cry, I must need to.
mhm.
you know,
And you
I can.
never know, you might meet someone
Hmm.
there where there are other people, that you actually develop a connection with right there at the moment. I mean, I think
Absolutely.
I've seen very many times, and I'm about to bring, my belief that God works everything together
Yes.
for good. It may not be in our timetable, and maybe we're looking for the good to be something different than what God knows it is we need.
Sure.
But He can always bring those things together to give us exactly what we need. Sometimes that is you're going somewhere else and um, you're not expecting anything, but then you hit it off with someone, or you just find it gives you joy, like you said, to be out in nature. Maybe it's the moment to actually connect with God
Yes.
in
Yes.
ways that we never have before, or give Him the opportunity to speak to us or make Himself real to us in a way
I
He
love
hasn't been before.
I love that. I love connecting with myself because sometimes I'm so busy, and
Mhm,
this may sound, I don't know,
mm,
hopefully not
mhm,
morbid, but like the ability to connect with myself and give myself that time to think about what are my thoughts? How am I feeling? Why am I feeling
mhm,
this way?
mhm,
Like what is going on, and not shaming myself if, hey, this season I actually just want to
mhm.
pull up with a movie and some popcorn. I think Rodney talked about that one time.
Yes,
He talked about like,
yes.
hey, I'm not going anywhere. I'm not cooking. I'm going to just
Mhm,
relax. You know what I mean? And being
mhm,
okay that this season, that may be what it is for you. And if that causes you pain, knowing that, hey, this season will pass. Seasons pass. They
mhm,
don't stay like this
mhm,
forever. They don't have to. And we can also see like what's happening in our community. What events might be happening on Christmas Day or Thanksgiving or just around the holiday season that could give us joy,
mhm,
that are free
mhm,
events, or pay a little money and attend, and create
mhm.
a new something for this season, this holiday season, that is like this, realizing that it doesn't have to always be like that.
Yes, yes.
Could I say
Or,
one? Oh, sorry.
sure, sure, go
There's
ahead.
something that there was some research that and this came out, I don't know how, this is Penn University. They did, so some of us think I'm connecting because I'm on social media, you know what I mean? And we're always on social
Mhm,
media. And it was talking about a couple of things that would be important to actually increase our happiness. And it talked about reducing our scrolling time. If we could
mhm,
reduce that by 30 minutes, people actually showed higher levels of happiness, and less loneliness. Because, it's like we think we're
Wow.
connected, but not necessarily. And this is Penn University. This was 2018 study that they did. And
Mhm.
so, a few things I just wanted to highlight. They were like, we could do things like unmute or unfollow someone that we may be comparing ourselves to. We could decide
Ooh,
to have
ooh,
a
yeah.
tech-free hour where, this whole hour, instead of getting on
Mhm.
my technology, I'm going to actually connect with a person, which
Mhm.
maybe I need
Mhm.
to just go to the library or some place where people are and,
Mhm.
connect. And then lastly, they talked about like having a gratitude practice, right? When I decide to connect
Oh.
with a person, like, which is a
Mhm.
grounding technique, being grateful or grounding, because you're like thinking about what am I thankful for. You talked a lot about that in one of our earlier shows, Nina. So
Mhm.
just throwing that out there too. The phone sometimes is that artificial connection, but just
Mhm.
using time to find a person is going to be good.
I like that. I like that a lot,
Hmm.
especially the part about the thankfulness, because I really do think that makes a huge difference. And thankfulness is a choice. We all have something we can be thankful for. And among those is the courses that you're teaching. I'm thankful for those. I just took your um,
The mental health first aid,
first aid
yeah.
course, yes, a mental health first aid course recently. Wow, what an eye opener! It was so, so good. I feel so much better equipped, and I've got a book now that I can refer back to
Mhm.
and help me navigate some things and learn how to check in with myself and see if I'm doing okay.
That's right. I love that class. It's one of my favorite ones. And that's backed by the National Council for Mental Well-being. So that is a
Hmm.
certification course that Nina took. And you can also take it with me. Guess what? We can do it online together, book a class with me.
Yeah,
It's 8 hour certification, but it doesn't feel like it by the time we're done. You're like, what? It's over.
it
So
does not. It does
yeah.
not. It went so, so quickly. And I love knowing that they can take the course with you online.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah, for
So,
sure.
yeah, there's a time and a place for everything, and even though
Yep,
we've just been talking about actually getting offline a little more to be happier, there are
true.
moments when actually getting online would be a good thing, and this
Absolutely.
is one of those. I was also gonna suggest too, my siblings are not gonna be able to be with us. We're not gonna be able
Mhm.
to be together this year, one of the very rare instances that we're not going to be together for any of the holidays.
Sure.
And but we've talked about doing a Zoom call
That's
together
right.
or having some kind of video call where we can see each other and just
Yes.
connect even for a few minutes. And it just occurred to me what a blessing it is to get
Hmm.
uh, even an audio message where someone can hear your voice and they can hear that you were thinking about them or hear you pray for them, hear you bless them in some way. And it doesn't take very much time, but man, what an impact that has.
That's
So,
powerful.
yeah, I've been the beneficiary of that so many times, and I just keep thinking, when I think of the things that meant the most to me, it's things like that, where someone else reached out. So if you're needing connection and you're having trouble figuring out where you could find it, even if you're thinking, oh, well, but I don't want to intrude on their family time or what, leave a message, leave a voicemail, do make a recording of
Nice.
a video recording and send it to them so they can look at it at their leisure when it's and I guarantee you, they probably, once they get it, will be like, I want to connect with that person. And it may not be at the holiday, but it may be after the holiday that it's likely they'll want to reconnect with you because you left that, or at least let you know how much it meant to them.
Nice. I love that, Nina. And I find that I feel like sometimes the online party can actually be more intimate than the in person. Because when we're in person, we're watching
Yes.
TV, we're like falling asleep on the couch. But when you're on Zoom, you
Hmm.
only got so much time. It's more focused and concentrated sometimes. And
It
so,
is. It
yeah,
is. Yeah. Just like doing this show, we don't mess around with the trivial stuff. We're getting right into
That's right.
the important things. All right. So I know we've already gone over time a little bit. I want to ask you one thing. Is there one boundary that we could all set for ourselves this holiday season that would make the holidays better for each of us?
Absolutely. And you've already heard it of Family This Way Network, the boundary of setting aside time for yourself, boundary
Mm-hmm.
out time for your wellness, whatever that looks like. If it's connecting with a
Mm-hmm.
therapist, a coach, if it's connecting with your doctor to address some medical issues you may have been letting just linger, if it's to connect
Mm-hmm.
with a really good book, connect with your God, really
Ooh,
talking
I
with
like
God,
that.
really fussing with God, crying
Mm-hmm.
out to
Mm-hmm.
God, laughing with God, just
Mm-hmm.
boundary out time for you. Don't let time for you to focus on what's happening in your heart, your mind, your body. Just go. That's the most
I
important thing
love
that
that.
you can do.
I love that. Put it on your calendar
Yes.
and guard it, just
Yep.
like you would any other appointment. Make an appointment with yourself or for yourself that you know is going to benefit you and
Yeah.
advance your own well being.
That's right.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
lovely. I love that. Mia, thank you so much for coming. Will you come back
Yay.
again?
Yes.
I feel like
Yes, we
there's so
did.
much more we could cover. And there was so
Mhm.
much I learned in your course that I would love to bring. Oh, Rodney, thank you
Yeah,
for
Ronnie.
popping in
Hey,
there.
just want to say my voice is terrible.
Oh,
I just took a big trip to the East Coast and I was flying on a plane and so I got a little bug, but I'll be fine. Thank you, Mia, for the great tips and everything.
Right.
Thank you, Nina, for your prayer. I am feeling better. I sound like Kermit the Frog, but I'll be all right.
well, I'm so glad you popped in. Thank you.
Yes.
And thank
Yeah.
you for producing the show for us today. And
Mhm.
thank
Thank
all of you
you.
for being on in the comments. It was so great to see your comments and just know you're there and so supportive. So, Mia, any last thing you want to say before we sign off?
Oh no, just thank you so much for having me. Glad to see you, Rodney, and I look forward to coming again.
Well, we look forward to having you, and hopefully that will be soon. So, everyone out there, I just want to remind you God is with us, and we aren't alone, even during the holidays.
That's right.
Bye, everybody. Be of good courage.